The little like ding when the cube's like ding. Sounds like some bread's ready. Why, hello there. Today is day 208. 208 days until Elden Ring comes out on January 1st, 2022. And this is the Elden Wait. And I am coming back from vacation after taking a week off, and I just wanted to get back into it. I wanted to do a special episode. I don't normally release episodes on Sunday, but I was getting into some video editing today, and I watched the gameplay trailer for the first time in a week. I actually didn't watch any trailers. Okay, well, I watched the trailer right the day I left, but then I went a few days. I was in Maine with my family, and I didn't watch the trailer for a week, and I came back to get back into some stuff that I'd been thinking about. I was excited to work on, and watching the gameplay trailer again, I was just like, damn, it's awesome. So I got a lot of nice comments from people saying, you have fun on vacation. We're excited to see your videos. And I just wanted to hop right back into it and bring out a new video, not with any huge analysis. Cause one thing is after the gameplay trailer came out, I just really wanted to do a lot of research and analysis and dive right in. And I've released a bunch of videos that sort of show the fruits of that labor. But I wanted to do something too that was just some hype. Just, like before we had all this information to talk about, the Elden Wait was all just about hype and being excited about Elden Ring coming out. And that's what today's episode is about. So if you are down for some hype and just being excited for Elden Ring, then this is the video for you. And so what we are going to do today is we are going to watch the gameplay trailer, not all at once, because I got demonetized again after the first time, and I realized I had to just remove like trailers, generally make sure it wasn't the bulk of my content was just watching trailers. So I needed to add something to it. So today I'm going to pause and just be hyped about how awesome this gameplay trailer is. We waited for like 2 years to see this, and just coming back to it after a week just reminded me like this is awesome. So we're just going to enjoy it and watch it. I'm going to pause and we'll have a good time.
Peggy 16.
There's our little buddy, our spirit horse. I don't know if you noticed that ring on her finger. You see her coming towards you. Taking the ring off.
The tarnished will soon.
Let's see. First of all, I have my little setup in the way of the caption a little bit.
Soon return.
And just, man, when I saw this, we'd sort of seen this from the leaked trailer already, but man, it looks so much better than what I could have imagined. Because I think a lot of people, especially following it as closely as I have and a lot of you have, you sort of go back and forth with expectations. But if you're following it for a while, I sort of kept pulling back my expectations just because From Software is tackling something new. I wasn't sure what to expect, but and then we saw the leaked trailer and we kind of saw this, but you couldn't see the scale at all like we see it here. And it is, wow, it is really awesome. Like, just such an ethereal, amazing, fantastical shot. It's just really what I wanted out of Elden Ring, and to just see this delivered, because with the announcement trailer, you don't see landscapes. And that was my big thing going into this whole thing, was like, this gameplay trailer needs to show landscapes and scale in the open world. And whew, boy, does it deliver. But man, what else can we see in this shot? So you see these beams of light. It just looks so awesome. And, I'm sure those beams of light, I feel like they correspond to something, because they're so intentional, and they're not everywhere on the map. And they seem to be largely in this like starting-ish area, or what I believe may be the starting area. So it seems likely that it indicates something to the player. And it might be some of that guidance that Miyazaki talked about providing to the players at the start on this like main path. And you can almost see like you have this first beam of light, and then in the distance there's like that gatehouse on the cliff, right, sort of on the left side. And that almost looks like a path leading to that first castle. So I don't know for sure, but that I think, From Software is very intentional in their design. It's just amazing to see that they can still capture these shots. And I can't wait to see the true open world of it and see how they still manage to just give us breathtaking vistas. It's incredible. I love the art direction is beyond what I could have hoped for. And I already have high standards for From Software, but they're just killing it. Look how moody that sky is. It's just, whew. And this arch tree, like when you saw it in the leaked trailer, it's like, okay, it's a big ash tree, but it looks so good now. Like it's so cool. It's sort of leaning a bit, and it's just shooting right up into the sky. You don't really ever see the top of it. It just dominates the sky in every shot where you can see it. And wow, it's awesome. And it's just crazy. All this, like, I talked a lot about how this idea of like a convergence or the land sort of getting messed up. And, I am curious about this landscape is so chaotic and there's so many ruins. And I wonder if that's just a result of the shattering, the war, or if that's a result of, the shattering, but also the removal of this blessing. If that had like, seismic effects, like the Erd tree is the source. It's the Elden Ring is the source of the Erd tree, and the Erd tree is the manifestation of the Elden Ring, and it's been shattered. And the Erd tree is still there, but the leaves are falling, and it's ethereal looking. So I wonder if it is fading over time. And so there's an essence of like, if something's not done, the whole place is doomed. But let's move on.
Guided by grace, once lost.
Oop. Okay. So another good shot of the tree. Guided by grace, once lost. The Tarnished. I think so we know that George R. R. Martin wrote and came up with the idea of the Tarnished. These people who so everyone in the lands between, which is what this place is called. I think of it as like this sort of like paradise, or this like, maybe it's even like the Olympus of places in the world, or it was at one point with these demigods as their home. Like Lordran is like the home of the gods. And everyone who lived there was blessed by the grace of gold, as it is called a few times. And this grace of gold gives people this golden aura, and it manifests in the eyes. And the Tarnished are those who lost that golden aura from their eyes. They seem to have lost this blessing for reasons we're not sure about yet. And I'm sure will be a central focal point of, perhaps, because your character is a descendant of the Tarnished who's been called back to the lands between because of the shattering. This blessing has sort of been restored. You don't have the aura back, I don't believe, but you're sort of being called back to be an Elden Lord to sort of fix what has been broken. And we learned that there's other Tarnished, and that these different philosophies and viewpoints on this whole return and the meaning behind that, Miyazaki said, is going to be a big part of the game. And I can imagine that there's different feelings about being called back. Some may have resentment, because you're basically, you see the big armed guy and calling you like a lowly Tarnished and saying like you're not fit to be around this place, and your ancestors were exiled. And, so that has overtones of just like prejudice and just this idea of being considered lesser than, and then being called back. I could see some people responding with anger, some people not really being sure how to feel about the lands between. And especially as we learn the history and what has happened since our characters' ancestors were booted out, that may strengthen those feelings for a lot of characters. I just think that's a really compelling sort of thing. Beyond like, the undead was just like this sort of pandemic sort of curse of humanity and with people being inflicted by it. But this is like very specific, and the whole idea of like, why did they become tarnished and what does that mean? And I'm sure, as we've talked about and as the internet has talked about, like pure gold doesn't tarnish. So the being tarnished almost implies some sort of impurity to your aura that it could be tarnished. So it's just really interesting to see where they take that. And moving on to less philosophical topics, here's the fish dude who I really like. He seems like a nice guy. Sitting there with his little crescent staff. So he looks nice. This shot is likely, ahead of that first shot. Let's see if I can. So that shot, I think somewhere sort of above where the box of that like beam of light near the castle past the gatehouse. I wonder if it might be there, sort of more in line with that tower over to the right hand side that's near the Erd tree in the foreground in front of the Erd tree. I think that might be roughly where it is.
By grace, once lost.
Is our little buddy again? And then here we can't see the Erd tree, and you see this big mountain that's actually, I can locate it again. I guess this is an impromptu. Where are we at here? 37. So the mountain is like back here above my head in the distance beyond. Or actually, you can see it here a bit, I believe. It's near this tower past the broken bridge in the very much the background is where you can see that mountain.
The Golden Order is broken to its core.
Wow, they flipped too fast. When you've been framing through the trailer, you feel like these things last for a little while, but it's very clear why I framed through the trailer, because there's a lot of stuff in these like quick shots. So we have this mountain where I think the four-winged dragon may come from, and where we might see him later in at least one of the shots. But the angle sort of implies that the Erd tree is probably behind us. I'm thinking because the shape, you sort of see that same shape in that establishing shot. So I think that this may be beyond the bridge and the lion castle that's to the left of the Erd tree. So the Erd tree and all that is behind us. And we're past that, looking on toward the mountain. In here, if you look closely, you can see a few guys in this camp. It helps give us a sense of scale, and you see the Erd tree sigil on these banners. You see this other sigil on these tents that has the part of the Elden Ring logo in it with the rings that I think represent the different demigods. And it's got, I think, 4 rings, which is not quite 6, but they're also sort of all intertwined. So, and it's what the Elden Ring logo shows. And of course, we have this ghostly banner off to the right hand side to sort of make it confusing. I don't know. I don't have a clue what that is, and we'll find out. There's not really enough to speculate on. I can't see what the banner is. I think it might also be an Erd tree, but it's hard to see from this angle. And if you look closely, it's hard to see here, but you can actually see you can see that the landscape sort of goes up, and there's this almost like switchback to this plateau in front of the mountain. And you can actually see a pretty substantial like fort in the distance there. So that may be one of those lesser forts or dungeons that Miyazaki was talking about. Not one of the big 6, but one of the smaller ones.
The Golden Order is broken.
And then I've been calling this the canine column cemetery. You can see the skeletons of canines in the structure of the columns. And actually, I've looked at this pretty close in 4K. You can actually see it. So there's actually like more canine corpses in this broken wall in the background and probably floating out there with the rubble. Not sure why there's a bunch of canine corpses and skeletons in there, but there you have it. There's a statue with a person and 3 canines, which is underneath what myself and others are thinking may be the Golden Order sigil. And as far as what the Golden Order is, I think there's a debate, and I don't think we know right now, and I think it's important to point out what we're not sure of is the Golden Order. The Golden Order could refer to an actual group of people, or it might be like the Golden Order, like the Golden Mean. It might just be like the natural intended order of the world. So like the Elden Ring in its completeness, and this could be the sigil for it either way. But either way, the Golden Order, anything golden in this game has got to be important, right? So the Golden Order is broken to its core.
To its core.
And you have these guys who don't seem to be moving at all, but they are, someone has lit a fire recently. I can't tell if they're petrified or if they're just standing still or what's happening there. But you can actually make out over to the right back there. It's probably too hard to see in this image, but there's like a little guy who you can actually see, and he's just standing there. You can watch my video on the enemies, bosses, and NPCs to get more information about that. But and man, what a vista! Just like what a gorgeous sunset, and it looks so good, especially if you compare with the leak trailer, which I do again in the overview video for the gameplay trailer. I break down and I show a comparison toward a similar shot from the leak trailer, but it just looks so good. Just the vegetation and everything, it looks really great. Our spirit horse. I love the music. And like this shot, like it's awesome. Like the landscapes and just the idea of like, this seems very much like a game like you're really going to be able to travel to, you know, what you see, and just the scale and the fantasy of these like cliffside castles and these clifftop ruins. It looks awesome. And again, just the scale and like what a cool design. Like just the splashing of the water as it puts its foot down, and you can sort of see what appears to be a jump pad over to the right hand side. But what a cool design with this bell under its belly, and there's like a building on top. It just like, it really gets your mind racing about like what happens up there, like, and like how is this talked about like in the lore? What fantastical location compared to what we've seen from like Dark Souls and stuff. It's just really cool. And actually, not to be this person, but man, so you have the Arid tree there, which looks great. And this shot is clearly like within the realm of that starting area of the establishing shot, because you have the Arid tree over here, over to it's the left of this shot, but it makes sense. It lines up with the right of that establishing shot. And then you have this beautiful moon in the background. Like what a damn good skybox. It's so atmospheric and evocative, and you have these giants with these like stakes through them pulling this cart with this little entourage. It's just the gameplay, feelings of it, of you like deciding to go in and have at this cart. It just seems like a lot of fun. Sliding sword. Oh,
foul tarnished. In search of the Elden Ring, emboldened by the flame.
And there's so many things we just skipped through. We skipped through the giant flat face. I mean, I go into all of this. This is some hype, some detail, and I just wanted to point out here too that this castle is in bad shape from this left-hand side. You know, and so from the main sort of, I'm calling it the establishing shot of the world, that's this angle would sort of be like this if looking forward of that shot is north, this is roughly like the southern face of the castle, and this is coming from the side that looks like it's from the sea. Is this attack seems to have come from that side. You know, I don't know if that's just because this is like the gatehouse, but it's in really bad shape. Like, you know, I think it seems relatively likely to me that, you know, some dragons attack, because you see scorch marks and fire and just these gashes and like sort of claw marks that have just torn these really ornate towers apart. And man, it looks really cool. I just love the environmental storytelling there.
Ambition. Someone must extinguish thy flame.
They will fight, and they will die.
So that's cool. I love that like scorpion tail boss with the throwing the magic like knife, and he's got the big magic hammer, and he's got the staff. It seems likely that he's like a Taurus demon, like a starting boss, and that's wild because he looks really cool. So if that's sort of what you're starting off with, like that level of fantasy and just those cool tricks, like damn, we are in for a treat. But this shot, you know, we can also tell is you can see the bridge in the background, the broken bridge that leads to the Lion Castle. And then you have this tower with the Aird tree in the background. So this, like, most of this trailer takes place within the realm of what we can see in the establishing shot, which is awesome. Because it really gives a sense that, like, you know, it might be hard to make out too many details there, but, like, there's so many adventures, obviously, happening just within all of that. And it's cool. It means, you know, there's a lot to see. And here you can see some hanging dudes off the bridge. You can see like a little tiny NPC who looks like he's wearing a jingasa in the background. Looks like maybe even some of those skeletons are down here in this river. So when you're riding your horse along, you can go slice and dice.
In an unending curse.
And this shot here too, it's a few different shots. Like, because obviously if your horse had come up off of this cliff and attacked, like the orientation doesn't make a ton of sense. So it's it cuts a few times pretty quickly. This is also right near that establishing shot. I like the little like ding when the cube's like ding. Sounds like some bread's ready. But you have these NPCs, as Miyazaki confirmed, getting summoned. Up top there, you can see what looks kind of, to me, like part of the Elden Ring logo. Sort of where you have that, like, the shaft with the beginning of this, like, circular symbol, and it looks like it's sort of a symbol out in the world, too. And you can just tell this gameplay is, like, this little mini encampment of soldiers. And we see another screenshot where it seems likely that there's one of those like cart pulling giants here too. And just gives me the idea that's sort of what we talked about before the gameplay trailer came out, where you have these like encampments like Breath of the Wild or like Ghost of Tsushima as relatively recent examples. And you could choose to engage or not, and some stuff might be blocking your path forward. And you sort of have the opportunity to do stealth, just engage head on, summon some allies. Just seems awesome because it gives you all these ways to go about it. In the sense of scale, even here, it's just cool. It looks great. And talk about awesome, like this, you can see all these carts here with this dragon. It's got 4 wings, golden eyes, like a golden body. It just, ooh, it looks really cool. And we'll see, it may even go back and forth a little bit as to where this fight takes place.
For how else is a champion or a lord to be born?
Well,
We had Valkyrie in that snowy section. Now we're getting to the big guy here.
a lowly tarnished, playing as a lord. I command thee now.
And I'm not completely convinced that the many armed guy is the first, like, of the big 6 of the demigod. I don't know what the rules are, and I'll get into it more in a video, but one thing is this, his eyes are that same, like, corpse color. And then we've seen things like the dragon, which have golden eyes. And you'd think if anyone had golden eyes, it would be those with the great runes, the shards of the Elden Ring. But who knows? I have my doubts about officially saying that's one of the big 6 main story bosses. I think there's a chance that is not, but I could also, they're pumping him up. It makes sense to show off a big guy. He looks monstrous, like Miyazaki talks about, so it's possible. And now we have Kirkwraith, as I call him. He's got those thorns all over him. He also has this like teleportation grab. Reminds me of the Dark Wraiths. Seems like you see him inside the castle. You can tell the background is sort of in the lion castle. Some hype shots, lots of stuff happening. DK, my man, the Burger King. And I think it's I was thinking about this with this like spectral stag deer looking sort of like the forest spirit for Princess Mononoke. It's like that's like a protector of like the forest. And just thinking about that is interesting because I wonder if it fulfills a similar role of like protecting the Erd tree, you know, if there's other like machinations in place, other like natural forces that respond to the shattering of the Elden Ring, which is represented and manifested by the Erd tree. And if that means like nature is revolting or there's these elemental forces that are unhappy with that. So interested to see those other potential repercussions.
Brandish the Elden Ring.
I've been thinking a lot about this line, brandish the Elden Ring, and I don't, it's like brandish, like, assume we don't have, the Elden Ring, we're collecting those pieces. So I just wonder what the context is of saying that exactly. I'm just thinking out loud. It's something I'm just thinking over, and, I don't think we have the context for it yet. Otherwise, then, like, getting the great runes and then being able to sort of wield the power of the Elden Ring, being an Elden Lord seems like sort of the goal or what's hoped to be done by having these tarnished come back to the lands between after their ancestors were exiled.
For all of us.
Damn. And then, 21st January 2022. And there we have it. 208 days to go. I am very excited. And, I'm hoping that keeps counting down. We don't get any delays, or else I might have 2 day 208s or something like that. And I don't want that. But it sounds like Miyazaki is pretty confident. And I am hyped. Obviously, I have spent a half an hour roughly talking about this trailer again, and I will continue to do it. and talk about information as we get it. So I will have a lot of stuff going up this week. So look forward to that. There will be Elden Wait stuff, and then I will have The Hunt coming up, and soon I will be starting a Bloodborne Let's Play that will go up for patrons. So if you're interested in that, consider, all patrons get it. So even support of $1 supports that and gives you access to the Bloodborne Let's Plays, which will lead eventually to my blind Elden Ring playthrough. So, but yeah, I just wanted to give a big thanks, do this episode just to say, hey, I'm excited. I'm back from vacation, ready to go, make some more content, and here to continue to vibe and wait with y'all until Elden Ring comes out January 21st, 2022. And so I'll see you until the next Elden Wait.